In order to be successful at business, we need to have customers, right? Now, it maybe doesn't sound too hard to find those customers. Maybe we go put some ads up on Facebook or on Google. But then you start to find that when you place those ads, they tend to be expensive. Even when you get those leads, they may be a bit cold and it's hard to convert them into a real customer. So you think to yourself, well, maybe instead then I'll do social media. I'll post a bunch of content and build a big audience. But once you get into that, you realize that's a lot of time, energy. It takes a lot of effort to build that audience with people you know, like, and trust you. But there is a better way. And that better way is referrals. In fact, this can really supercharge your business. And this is why I'm super excited about today's guest, Brandon Barnum. He's the author of Raving Referrals and a variety of related books. And he, I would say, is the king of referrals. Brandon, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, Mike, this is my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, you're the king. I want to know, how do you look at referrals and how do referrals make a big difference to people's business?
Well, referrals changed my life, right? So if I think all the way back over my life, every positive business experience I've had really has come as a result of a referral, somebody
Mm.
personally creating the connection that led to commerce, that led to opportunities to serve and just amazing things. So referrals are so much more effective than leads. The science proves that, but the beauty is when you create a referral engine into your business, you just have a constant stream of people coming to you so that you can serve them, make more impact, make more money.
Yeah, that could be a complete game changer for people. And today I'm excited. I really want to dive into, what does that referral engine actually look like? How do I get started? How do I build this thing?
Well, to start, we always do a checkup, right? We call a referral score quiz. If people go to referralscorequiz.com, you can take a 10 question assessment and it will help you uncover in the 10 best practices where your gaps are, right? And there's always blind spots in our business that we're just not aware of. And so one of those 10 best practices is actually thanking and following up with, two different ones, following up with people. And for me, I was a failure as that when I got started in business. And so I would be a 0 out of 10. And fortunately, once you identify some of those blind spots, then you can fill in that business. And what we often talk about is the power of partnerships. And one of the most effective ways to generate more referrals is by creating those strategic alliances with others who are serving your perfect prospects every day.
Okay, so you touch on two tips there I really like. The first one is thanking your customers. Is that what you said? Or thanking the referrals?
The person that gives you the referral, right? And so
Oh,
here's what happened to me, Mike. I started out in the mortgage business. I was a single dad. I had gotten custody of my son. I was making $20,000 a year. Had to make a change, got into the mortgage business, and had somebody mentor me in the art and science of what I now call raving referrals. And the beauty is by putting these systems in place, I was able to 10x my income in 18 months from 20,000 to 200,000. And what I
wow.
found was there's 10 best practices that everybody should be doing in their business. One of them is thanking, and then also another is updating the people that give you referrals. Well, I had a mortgage company and I had no clue, right? And so what happened is I had this client one day that called me up and they said, "Hey, I just wanted to follow up with you and see how things went with Mike Jones." And I'm like, "Oh, it's fantastic. We just closed on his refinance 2 weeks ago. Everything's awesome." And there was this long pause. And this was a VP for Intel that had given me this client. And after a long pause, he says to me, are you open to some coaching? I said, "Sure, absolutely." He said, two things. One is it's a really good idea to thank people when they give you a referral. So he had given me the referral and I just had missed it. I hadn't taken the time to thank him for the person he just referred. And then number two, and this hurt almost as bad, is he said, and it's also a good idea to give people an update as you go
Mm.
through the process. And I had missed on both of these things, right? And so After that, what I realized and put into practice is not only thanking people, and you can do that privately or publicly on social media. It's a great way, as long as it's appropriate for you, to really get the word out and spotlight other people. But then also updating people throughout the process increases that like and trust factor, and you show your
Hmm.
professionalism so that people feel comfortable and confident referring you more.
It's so simple, but common sense tends to be those things that are not actually always followed. But yeah, just the fact you outline that, it's so simple, but it has such a profound impact. You know,
It,
the second thing that you had mentioned was the partnerships. Walk us through, what does that look like?
Yeah, so we teach something called the Referral Partner Blueprint. What we found, I used to run a company called refer.com, and we had over 5 million members online of an online referral network. And what we found, we surveyed thousands of professionals and found that for the vast majority, 79% of professionals had two or less referral partners that was sending them at least one deal every 90 days. 32% had zero. So 32% of people are classified as a lone wolf or the lone ranger, right? Where they're out there all by themselves trying to build their business. And on Monday, they're staring at an empty calendar for the week, wondering where they're going to find new clients, right? 32% had no referral partners. 47% had one or two. So together, that's 79%. That's like the Pareto principle, right? Of the 80-20 rule. Well, 2% had 10 or more referral partners. Those people were making on average over $250,000. So our goal is to always help everyone have at least 10 quality partners that are promoting you and referring you on a regular basis.
So how do you actually build that? How do you find 10 champions willing to promote that much?
Yeah, you start with three things. So, number one, you start with who is already giving business to you. Take a look.
Mm,
If you go back at your clients and customers over the last month, quarter, or year, you're going to be able to identify where those clients and customers came from. And as you track and measure, this is one of the 10 best practices that a lot of people don't do, is they don't track and measure the referrals that they're getting. Most people have no clue. And it depends, because we're talking a broad spectrum of business, right? I run HOA.com. We focus on a platform for professionals that serve homeowners, realtors, mortgage, insurance, financial, painters, plumbers, landscapers. So that's the world that I focus on with that company. And for many of these people, they don't have systems in place to track their client base. They're not tracking their referrals. They're not thanking people for referrals, rewarding people, all of these practices that make a massive difference. And it's the compound effect, because each of these 10
mm.
best practices has a cumulative impact into your business when you put these systems in place.
Boy, this is amazing. A couple of things I just heard there that I want to dig into further. One is you mentioned rewarding people. So you talked about thinking,
Yeah.
but help me understand, what does rewarding look like?
Rewarding can vary depending on what you're doing. You could have a referral kit for your business, like this one that I keep, that I think Granite Transformations did a great job on, right? Thank you for your business. They give this to every one of their customers at the end of the process as they're serving that client, right? By the way, we'd love to reward you. And not only will we be happy to reward you with $200 for every client that you refer to us, but we're also going to give them $200 off, or a $200 gift
Mm,
certificate, or however you want to frame that. Now, that's just one example, but we recommend that you want to make yourself easy to refer. You want to have systems in place so that when people are really your champion, you mentioned it. I love the word champion. We use that all the time. And I think that's so important, but you need to be easy to refer. I'll tell you what, one of the categories that we focus on, the industries, is dentistry. And in my dentist's office, I've been going to them for 8 years. And when I was writing the book, I went to the front office and I said, you know, it's interesting. I've been coming here for 8 years. You've never asked me for a referral. right? My wife and kids go here, and I know my wife refers, but it just happens naturally and organically. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're going to naturally, organically grow your business by just doing a great job for your clients, giving great communication, right? Really serving them with excellence. You're going to naturally get referrals. And if you integrate some automated asks, we teach the art of the ask, which we can get into later, but you can automate the ask by having things like these referral cards at your front desk or as part of your service process. And it depends on what you do, whether you're B2B or B2C, but you can still apply the principles into your business workflow. And most people haven't done that. They haven't looked at that complete funnel and thought, how am I recognizing and thanking the referrers, making sure at the end that there's a client gift. We do things at HOA.com, like we create customized swag for them, right? The quote is, there's no power of change greater than a community discovering what it cares about. And on the front, it has their name. Welcome to the community, Mike. Right?
Hmm.
So it's customized for them to create that wow experience. When you create that wow experience, that's when people refer you, especially when you apply the art of the ask.
Now I got to know, what is this art of the ask? Tell me more about
Okay.
that.
The art of the ask is the easy way to feel comfortable and confident and get more referrals from every client you serve. And basically, what you want to do when you first start working with a client is in that first client meeting, or they've just agreed to hire you and use your services, what you want to say is, before I let you go, can I ask you for a quick favor? They'll always say yes or maybe, tell me more, right? And then what you want to say is, look, we love helping people like you have a 5-star experience with our company. And so we're so committed to going above and beyond that what I'd like to ask you for is permission that once we've delivered a 5-star experience for you, would it be okay to ask you for a referral later on? Now, they'll
Hmm.
all say yes, right, Mike? I mean, what would you say if I just asked you that as a service provider for you?
Yeah, I'd absolutely say yes.
100%, right? So you get 100% yes. Now you're really seeding the referral for step 3. This is just step 1, which is called setting the stage. So first we're going to set the stage by asking them, would it be okay once I've proven myself and created that 5-star experience, would it be okay to ask you for referrals? Once they say yes, and by the way, Mike, you're going to get some referrals right in that process, right? Because some of the people are going to be, why, yeah, now that you mention it, my sister, brother, coworker, boss needs your help right now. So you're going to get more business immediately by doing it, but really you're setting the stage and you're saying, I'm going to do a great job. You're going to have an amazing experience, and I want to earn the right to ask you for referrals. Okay, so that's step 1, setting the stage. Now, step 2 is listening for the referral triggers. And step 2, you got 2 ears, right? So you're going to listen twice as much as you talk. And really what you're looking for is a wow moment. You want to manufacture a wow moment in your service process. Okay, so that the people that you serve are complimentary to you, like they're coming out and praising you and just being like, Mike, oh my gosh, thank you so much. This helped us make so much money, save so much money, save so much time. Whatever it is, I'm thinking the B2B mind at the moment, but whatever the services that you deliver, you're looking for that wow moment that you manufacture. Once you hear it, you go into step 3, which is ASK to GET. Now, I say it that way because that's how it was mentored me, my mentor, Mark Victor Hansen. ASK, ask to get, right? And when
Hmm.
you ASK to GET, what that sounds like is as soon as you get that client to say, wow, or, thank you so much, this was amazing, this was awesome, then it's, I'm so glad to hear that. Remember earlier, I told you I was going to wow you with a 5-star experience. Now that you have, I'd love to ask you, is there anybody else that you know that I can help? Because we love helping people like you get results like this, right? So now they can apply it to the people that they know. They've had your experience. of your service. And so they're confident in referring you. They're actually at a peak referral state because you're helping them really get clear on the fact that you did a great job for them. And that from this point forward in life, you're their guy, you're their gal. They're coming to you because they've found who they're looking for. We don't want to continue on life always looking for new professionals that we can trust. That's why at HOA.com, we actually create your own trusted team where you have everybody that serves your home in one location, right? So that's what we're building. But does that make sense, Mike? So it's set the
Yeah.
stage, listen to referral triggers, and then ASK to GET.
Yeah, that's so good. Well, what if you have a business that is maybe less high touch?
Yep.
For example, maybe an e-commerce store that's just B2C. How would you create the same art of the ask in a process like that?
Same thing in email or text.
Okay.
I mean, it's really
How
the
about like
same
those wow
message.
moments though?
The wow moments. So you do a survey, for example. Do a text survey is the easiest way to do this. You can automate it and go high level or ClickFunnels or any of those systems, right? But you just have in your service cycle, and it depends on how long it takes you to serve that client. But before the end or even after the end, you always want to have a survey. And in that survey, you want to ask them, how would they rate you, scale of 1 to 5, right? There's a thing called Net Promoter Score, which says if you ask people a score of 0 to 10, if they're an 8, 9, or 10, they're in a referral state. And if they answer less than a 10, you want to ask them, what can I do to make it a 10, right? Because that's an opportunity to go above and beyond and deliver and really impress them. And when you show that you care and that you're willing to do whatever it takes to help them get an awesome result, again, that's where you boost that Net Promoter Score and people are more comfortable referring you. But you can integrate surveys into your process and then in that survey, use the same language asking for the referral.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. When I think of myself and taking surveys though, like I got a survey and I'm like, oh, it's just a waste of time. Is there any techniques to really get people engaged and wanting to do that survey?
Yeah, I think reward them, right? I mean, the
Sure.
ultimate, and it depends. In some industries, you can give them a $50 credit. Now, it really doesn't cost you anything for that future business, and you're winning their loyalty. What people don't think about is the ROI on referrals. I ask people
Mm,
all the time, what do you have? What's your annual marketing budget? Right? They'll tell me a number. It's 100,000, it's a million, it's 10 million, whatever that number is. How much of that is set aside for referral marketing? And they look at me with this blank look in their eye and they're like, what are you talking about? I'm talking about all the relationships, right? Community building, business development. We teach hyperlocal social farming and how you become the top trusted pro in your industry, in your market. Now, we're focused on serving communities, HOA communities, right? So we look at every community as like a mini city because it is, whether it's
mm.
100 homes or 1,500 homes. It's still a mini community. And by helping that community connect with a trusted realtor, mortgage lender, and all of the other resources that they need, we help everybody win and everybody have a better experience. So that's what the way that we've approached it.
That's so cool. Well, what percentage of people do you think after they've been asked when it's done well,
Yeah.
will actually go ahead and refer?
So everyone will at least be open to it. In our experience, what happens is that people always agree to it. Now the trick is asking that next follow-up question of, great, who do you have that you might know that I could offer a free gift certificate, consultation? Again, it depends on what your business is, your industry, but you want to have some sort of give that the
Mm.
people that you're serving can give to others. We call it give the gift of you, right? I just got the most amazing one from a company that I'm super envious of and looking at all the day, but all the time. But you got to see this. This is homes.com. This is what they sent me the other day.
Oh, cool.
So,
Ah,
what an amazing marketing piece. Now, most of us aren't going to have the budget, the marketing budget to create a piece like that, but how can you give other people the gift of you, right? So what we do is we use a wrap card, for example, with a QR code. And that way you've got the benefits and the bullets. People understand why they should work with you. And when you create that type of a marketing kit, at least you've got something that people can easily share you with, right? We actually create these as a referral partner blueprint, and then we customize them for the clients so that they can give them out as a gift. But this teaches everything that I'm talking about in that class. And so it's basically the shortened version of my book in 32 different short pages that gives them everything that they need instantly.
Huh. So once you're asking for the referral, it sounds, if I heard you right, you actually ask them for names right there. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and it depends on what your gift is, right? You may be
Okay.
willing to offer a free consultation for your business. And so then you want to present that to them, your clients as, help me understand who they are. We'll reach out to them. We'll give them a free gift certificate, whatever that is, a free consultation as a favor of you. So we'll really sing your praises and they'll be grateful that they got the call.
That's great. So then you've got this list. So how do you go about approaching these referrals then?
It's really the same thing. Mike, so happy to talk to you. Carol said that we should connect. We just got finished helping her with this, right? The beauty is you've got the best connection possible because your client, who's now thrilled with what you provide, is introducing their people. So when you meet that other person, then you come from a place of just having served their friends. So if they have any questions, they can reach out and get that personal testimonial. But you utilize that and say, Carol said that you might have a need for our services. We're currently offering a free assessment, consultation, whatever it is. And then you provide them with service. The biggest thing is you're serving, not selling. And this is where
Hmm.
people get it wrong. People get stuck, they feel uncomfortable asking for referrals because they feel like they're asking for something for themselves. And that's the wrong mindset. That's the selling mindset. We want to serve because when you serve, you come from that energy of giving and people are more receptive to it. They can feel the difference, right? So, what we teach them is to just remember that they're serving their client's friend, their client's contact. So Carol said that we might be able to serve you. We've got this amazing service. Help us understand what's the challenge that you're facing. What's the problem? Really, it's all the same equation across business. You want to identify the challenge, provide the solution. It's pretty simple. So if you can identify the challenge for that new person, you're able to serve them, and you may offer to save them money because you have no marketing expense when it comes to a
Hmm.
referral.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on programs like BNI that bring together maybe 20 people, all different industries, and they all kind of are highly encouraged to refer one another?
I'm a huge fan. I've met
Okay.
Ivan Miser. I've interviewed him for a podcast. Huge fan of what they do because at the core, it's about creating connections. I like asking the question of who are you doing life with? Right?
Hmm.
When I was in the mortgage business, how I 10x'd my income is I built relationships with people in the real world, right, that I was doing life with. And at the end of that 18-month period, I started in May. And so by the end of the second calendar year, I looked at all of the transactions I had closed in what was 1998. And what I found is of the $200,000, I had made $50,000 from just one realtor named Dana Berry. And when I recognized how much transactional volume was coming through, number one, I loved hanging out with her anyway, but it increased the amount of my time that I invested in that relationship. And I also
Hmm.
invested advertising dollars with her doing co-marketing ads in the real estate book because I knew that every person that called Dana about a property, Dana was going to direct me to have a conversation with them about a mortgage. And that's what was happening. And so it's about investing in relationships. And the coolest thing was I used to love hanging out with Dana. We would go to concerts, right? She'd hang out with my wife, and I introduced her to another friend, and she was just amazing. So we did 4th of July one summer. So it's who you're doing life with. And when you can do business and life with people you love, that's pretty sweet. So sometimes you can find those people through a BNI. We actually recommend in the Raving Referral system that you create your own business alliance.
Hmm.
Yes, you should join a group like BNI if they've got a spot in your industry. Go check it out and see if it's the right group for you. I know a lot of people that have made a lot of money on BNI through BNI. And what I recommend is start your own group. Meet once a month. We have a chapter in the Raving Referrals book about your referral alliance, right? And creating your own group. And we walk you through the whole script of exactly what to say and who to reach out to and invite to your group. But if you get a couple of core contributors where you're doing it together, we teach the FIRM Foundation in HOA.com, which stands for Financial Advisor, Insurance Agent, Realtor, and Mortgage Lender, because that's the real core of any B2C network, right? And
Hmm.
so the firm foundation comes together and then they create their list of all of the other home service pros they want to invite into that alliance. And then they meet once a month for coffee, for lunch, drinks, whatever they want to do. But it's about making that commitment that these are the people that we're going to build our business with.
That's awesome. Do you ever run into a situation you have to prune someone from that group because they're not contributing the way they maybe should?
Absolutely. Yeah, we use a three strikes rule, right? First time we're going to have a conversation, second time there's going to be a probation, and then third time is a termination. So it's really a process that you have to take, but you want to be personal about it. Most time people want to do a good job. I think it's really about choosing the right people that are committed on the front end. There's going to be some people that drift off, and then you have to have a conversation to make sure that they're committed to the group. So I have a group that I'm a part of here in Phoenix, and we meet once a month, and I'm there like clockwork the second Tuesday of every month, right? Because I'm committed to doing life with those people and investing those relationships. So that's what you have to do, is just to have the conversations about what people are committed to. And if that's not the requirement, that's okay. But you want people that are going to show up and that are going to contribute to the others in the group.
How do you know if someone is going to be a good participant in the group before selecting them?
Well, one of the things that I love overall is personality science. And so
Mm.
I use a system called bank code to really uncover who
Oh, yeah.
people are. Have you seen bank code before?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, this is brilliant. This is like a magic trick because you need to understand how people are wired so that you can serve them better and just be in better relationship. With bank code as a personality system, you can quickly uncover who someone's personality code is. And once you know that, you know how to create agreements with them more effectively, right? Because the way that you're going to create an agreement with somebody that's high action is very different than somebody that's high blueprint, for example.
Hmm, that makes sense. I I want to dive into your story just briefly here. Obviously, you've had some pretty impressive impact. You were mentored by, uh,
Mark
I'm
Victor
blanking
Hansen.
on his name.
Yep.
What was that?
Mark Victor Hansen.
That's right. And you've obviously written a number of books yourself. What inspired you to write that book? What's inspired you in your journey in general as well?
Uh, um, well, so let's start with Mark and let me work at the beginning and come to the end.
Yeah.
So I met Mark on May 18th, 2004. So we just celebrated 20 years together. I met
Wow.
him when I was doing a fundraising event for a Christian charity in Portland, Oregon called Northwest Medical Teams. And it was like Doctors Without Borders. And so I was on their corporate industry council. I was 34 at the time, had my own mortgage company, had a nutraceutical company called Longevity Labs, but I was really committed to giving back because I was invited to this lunch and learn where this doctor had just come back from Africa. And he was
Mm.
telling this story about at the end of these 18-hour days, they would drive to remote villages and provide medical care for whoever needed it. These are regular MDs here that volunteered their time off to go serve abroad. And so what he said at this lunch and learn was at the end of every day, regardless of how long they were there, as they would leave to go back on the van to go back to their housing, inevitably there would be a mother carrying their child saying, "What about my child?" And that just
Mm.
tugged at me. I got emotional. I'm like, I got to do something. I'm sitting here in Portland, Oregon, in my cushy office, making great money, helping lots of people, but how can I help them? And so they just asked me to help raise awareness and raise money, and that's what I did. And they asked me to find a keynote speaker for their annual Spirit of Life Awards. I knew someone from church that knew Mark Victor Hansen. They'd been friends for 30 years. So I asked Al Sizer if he'd ask Mark, and Mark agreed to do the keynote speaker. He had just written the book, The 1 Minute Millionaire, The Enlightened
Mm.
Way to Wealth. And so when reading that book, I'm like, this is the guy. He needs to be there. He reduced his speaker fee. I just agreed to pay for it out of my company because I knew he needed to be there. And we raised enough money on that day to deliver $1.2 million in medical supplies around the world. And it was
Wow.
amazing, euphoric, right? It felt so great. We did two events, their lunch, and then I did my own event called Success with Integrity, which was the name of my mortgage company. And at that event, Mark challenged everybody in the audience to write 101 goals. And I'd never
Mm.
really done that before, right? So after that event, a week following, my wife and I went to Maui, and I was sitting on the beach and I was just envisioning, based on all that Mark was sharing with me, questioning what did I want my life to look like, right? I'm 34 at that point. What did I want the rest of my life to look like? What do I want the legacy of life to look like? And I was a single dad at 24, so at 10 years I had matured probably faster than most 34-year-olds. But I sat there on that beach and I wrote 335 goals. And really, my mission that I felt like was a download is that I'm here to uplift, inspire, and empower every person on the planet. So
Mm.
since May 25th, 2004, that's been my dashboard. That's my, dash in life, right? So anyway, I wrote 338 goals. One of those goals was to have Mark Victor Hansen as my mentor. He said yes. And what happened was, once you write down exactly what you want to create, what you want to experience, what you want to achieve, books you want to read, places you want to go, people you want to meet, whatever it is that is the desire of your heart, and you write it down with a date of when you want to accomplish it, you'll be amazed how quickly some of those things happen. And so within a month, 10 of them were checked off the list. Within 6 months, I had met Bono, which is like my hero. And I was like, I want to meet Bono by May 28th, 2005. I met him in October of 2004. So, just amazing things happen. And one of the things is I wanted Mark Victor Hansen to write about me in a book by May 28th, 2005. So in 1 year, as I'm sitting on the beach envisioning what I want to have happen, in 1 year, I want Mark to write about me in a book. Well, a couple months after starting to get into relationship with him, he calls me one day and he says, "Hey, Brandon, Robert Allen and I are writing the follow up to the 1 Minute Millionaire. It's going to be called Cracking the Millionaire Code. And we'd like to write about you. Would that be okay?" And I'm sitting there going, Mike, that's the fulfillment. Yes, it would. Absolutely. Right. Well, that book ends up getting published May 31st, 2005. I missed it by 3 days of my original goal. Okay. What that taught me is that we can have everything we want. We can manifest and create anything we want. We just have to be really crystal clear on what that is. And so, that has been such a big impact for me. So that's the origin story of Mark Victor Hansen. Just to wrap that up, I've been doing life with Mark for 20 years. He just spoke at 3 events for me so far this year in 2024. And he's an owner of HOA.com. So an amazing man. He sold over 600 million books, those Chicken Soup for the Soul books. And he's just an incredible guy. So I'm blessed to have him as a mentor.
Well, that's awesome. And, you know, as we're wrapping up here, is there anything you want to share with the audience, or how can the audience get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me at brandonbarnum.com. At brandonbarnum.com, you'll see a link for that referral score quiz that we talked about. You can crack your code and find out your personality code, which is fascinating. And you can also download the referral partner blueprint. So everything that we talked about, kind of a summary of all the tips and scripts that I gave you are in this little PDF document that you'll download. So check that out at brandonbarnum.com.
Well, thank you so much for hopping on this podcast. You know, one of the things I really liked, not only all the insight on the referrals, but the insight there at the end really hit me, which is that you can do whatever you want in life. You just need to set the goals, and then then you can work through to achieve it. That's amazing.
It works when you work it. We say that all the time. So if you haven't ever gone through that exercise, take time tonight and actually sit down, take an hour and hand write out exactly what you want, and make sure that there's a date that you want to achieve it by. And you'll be amazed how many of them come to pass.
That's great. Give it a try. I'm going to do it myself. And thank you for the advice. And thank you so much for joining today.
My pleasure, Mike. Thanks for having me.